Welcome in a new May favorites. I didn't do a favorites this year since the one I did the very last day of December, so I just thought it was time to do one. Well, as we had some lockdowns, things like that, I didn't visit a lot of places to find new pieces of furniture or that this past month, not very often, so it's also one of the reasons. But I have quite a lot of things I wanted to show you and to share. Maybe you are going to be inspired. So it's going to be mainly books, paper things I found in my favorite old bookshop in my city, and also some things for my studio I'm going to show you. Maybe I'm going to start to show you the updates on my portraits wall. I want to have a portraits wall in my living room around the unicorn. As you can see, I'm building and adding new portraits quite often these days. The thing is, I only wanted to have portraits of characters I appreciate and like. It's not random portraits found for random reasons or that. No, all the other things, all the writers, illustrators, all that, I keep them for my studio, but all the other ones, I keep them here. So I'm going to gather more and more as I go, and probably there will be an entire wall at the end, but I wanted to have them surrounding my unicorn. So, and also to have interesting things happening between all of them. So when one is looking in one direction, the other one may be looking at him or at her. And I want to continue to try to find portraits which can sort of talk to each other a bit. I think that's really funny. A bit like in Harry Potter, a little, but this sort of magical thing where you may think that maybe they are talking to each other when you are leaving the room. So one of the very last engraving I received last week was La Duchesse husband, Junot, so he's here. I will share some other things about La Duchesse in this video, but he was a very, very, very funny character, and of course I needed to have him. He's looking towards the unicorn. I thought it would work really well to have him here and with his eyes in the direction of the unicorn. I thought it worked really well, and Charlotte Bronte, she's almost looking at him and the unicorn, so I thought it worked well to have them organized this way. And this little monkey has been sent to me by a sweet lady from Paris who watched my videos. I've met her last year, and she thought I would really like this little monkey, which is painted by the same artist, which has some paintings. I showed that in my Château de Maison Lafitte in Paris last year. There were some beautiful, beautiful paintings. And this painter has also painted some things at Le Château de Chantilly around Paris. I plan to see this one this summer. Yes, so she thought I would really love it, and I really love it, and I thought it worked well because he's looking towards Napoleon, Napoleon is looking at him, so they have this sort of conversation, and I thought it worked really well. So it's the only one who is not a real character, and I thought it would be cool to have one, but the other ones I really want to only have characters who are meaningful in some way for me. And here I have, of course, a space left, so I'm going to have way more. I plan to have the entire wall covered, and I have another small frame, but I need to find an engraving. I have others coming, like Duchesse, I want to have her. There are other Marshalls I want to have, so they're going to, every space is going to be filled soon. So we have the big portrait you have seen in my Marshall's video, and of course La Duchesse, but she's pretty hard to find, so it's the reason she's not there yet. She should have been there. She should have been the first one to arrive, but it's pretty difficult to find at least a good, nice engraving from the 19th. So in my old bookshop, in my antique bookshop in my city, I found many things I wanted to share. So you're going to see, he had an entire window, of course, for Napoleon, because it was his birthday this month. So I think he had really great books here, and I found one or two. It's my favorite place really in my city. I like to go there pretty often. Usually I never find the things I'm hunting or looking for, and usually those precise things I found them on eBay or AB Books online, and I usually find there things I'm absolutely not hunting and not trying to find. So I found these two prints, sort of prints. They are from 1924. They are not very old. They're not very precious, but I thought that they were really decorative and pretty. It's just a print. It's not really, but the gold was really nice, and I'm going probably to have them in my bathroom. I'm going to show you a bathroom update soon, but yes, I'm not going to have them here because they are really, well, they're not characters. This one is painted by Elisabeth Vigée-Lebrun, who was a famous painter from the 18th, early 19th century. Yes, I found these two, and each was €5. So I thought it was a pretty good found. And the colors are really nice. The purple is really pretty. And this one has a nice white and gold. It's a Watteau's painting printed, and I thought that would be lovely somewhere in my corridor or in the bathroom. So to write my historical series, my paper time travel series, I needed a lot of books, and some were out of print. They had only be printed once, and one of them was the book written by his assistant, his aide-de-camp, which is not a crazy interesting book really. It's pretty outdated, but it has only been published once in 1841, I think. And it's very rare, it's very difficult to find, and it's very expensive if you find it in a good condition. So I found here I have Tom 2 and Tom 1. It's Tom 1 and I have Tom 2. In good condition, it's €600, the set of the two books. So it's pretty rare, and this one is, yes, it would need to be restored a bit, or at least readjusted. Something would have to be done about him, because it's really not in good shape. It's just, I love this paper, I love everything about it, and of course I love reading it. And there is a very good scene from part 2 of my series that you're going to see next, which directly comes from this book. I 100% followed the words of this book for the scene, and it's going to be a pretty good scene. So I was happy to find it, but the reason I'm talking about this book, it's when you buy old antique books, you always have surprises most of the time. That's the reason I love them so much. And in this one, I found this little catalogue. So it's a catalogued from Les Grands Magasins du Louvre in Paris. I was not super familiar with that. They started at the mid-19th century and were closed in 1970 something. So they lasted for quite a long time, and I could say that it's probably from mid-19th or 1860, 1870, this one. You have all the price of the costumes, the dresses, the skirts, everything. It's so poetic, so beautiful. Oh, it's such a great way to travel in time when you find these sort of documents with a really nice paper. So I would suppose the person who left that soon after reading this book, or maybe not reading it, because it was maybe put as a bookmark probably, and never reopen it. So I was pretty excited to find this. And I'm going to keep it preciously because it's just a beautiful document from the past. I also found at the antique bookshop these two books, which also have a link to the Empire and my period right now, because this one has been published in 1805, this one 1808, and they are really cool. They are really pretty unexpected. I was never hunting for anything like that, and I bought them, each of them €10, so I just love that. I think it's just a really cool find. So this one is le dictionnaire abrégé de la fable pour l'intelligence des poètes, des tableaux et des statues dont les sujets sont tirés de l'histoire poétique. So it's something to help poets, to help them, or painters, or someone who would do some statues, just to help them with their historical, poetic subjects, mainly inspired by the antique legends and all that, the Greek and Roman mythology, so it's all about that. So it's a real dictionary, so you have everything about sirens. I thought this dictionary would have been absolutely great for someone writing fantasy these days, this sort of thing. You would have so much ideas, so many ideas. So anything about sirens, magical creatures, witches, or I don't know, there are so many things. I'm so happy I found it. I started to open it. I'm going to keep it in my studio just to have great ideas about that. And of course, I love that it's just an old great book. And it's published during the Napoleonic era. So I just thought, yeah, I'm a bit in this period right now. And it seems I'm attracting to find, and I mainly find things from this era too. So it's quite funny, and this one was published in 1808, and this one is really interesting too. It's an Almanach des Muses for 1808, Paris, Rue de Savoie, number 6. And it's a collection of poetry published this time. So people could send their poetry if they wanted to be in the almanac, in this book. So you have famous thing and not so famous thing. I think most of them are completely forgotten. Yes, here important advice: if you want to be published, you need to be published. You need to send your things before November 1st and not December 20. It's way too late, so you will not be in the book if you do that. Yes, and it's interesting, and it also gives a collection of what was played at La Comédie Française, or the main theatre and opera at the time. And I found something, and I thought, I love when everything is connected, you know, in life. And there is this one, Trajan, Opéra en 3 actes. There is a link with my historical series about Marshal Bessières, and you're going to see that. And it was so cool to see that, because it's a little slice of one scene you are going to see in my part 2, and I couldn't believe it was there. So it's so funny, and you have the dates when it has been published, and there is also some review to see if it was good or not so good, if it had been successful or not so successful, and there is someone who gives their opinion on each of that. So I thought it was so cool what was played on January 1807. I thought it was so precious, just the same for time traveling. When you love that, just to have this precious book it's so good. It feels so good just to hold them in your hands. I like to hold these sort of books in my hand. I think it's really, really magical. So I recently bought this set of pastels by Sennelier, which are dry pastels. You know, I mentioned in my past videos, I wanted to go back a bit to this technique for decors and few things. Not everything, but I wanted to use it for few things. And I bought this set by Sennelier, which is a classic brand which created pastels for the Impressionists. The box is not super easy to open. And then you have a few things inside. You have some explanation, the history, everything, and you have the pastel. So you have a collection. It's interesting how they organize their colors. It's not all the colors, it's some of them, but I love how they are. They look magical, and even on the screen they look even more magical. They are so dense. The color is so strong. I was just so happy to receive it and to start to play with it. So I didn't use this one. I used my old one so far pretty much. I just recently bought this one, but I really like them. They have some small ones, and they have some bigger. I didn't find the longer pastels. I plan to buy the longer ones at some point, but I just love all the colors. They're so pretty, and it's interesting to touch them. Yes, it's dry, but not too dry, and you see you can have. And I think it lands really well on the paper. So you could say it could look a little wet, but not really. It's interesting, and it looks like I've put some saturation on it. When I see on my screen how it looks like, it looks so bright. It's so interesting. It's very pretty. It's just pretty to look at, I think, but it's going to be even better to play with that. So yes, I was interesting to go back to this technique and to see what I could do with that. I love my sketchbooks, I keep them forever. So I like to invest in pretty good quality ones that you will keep and that you will like to hold in your hands, play with. So these two past one, this one had been offered not a long time ago, and I kept it mainly. So I started to do some sketches for the past exhibition I worked with. It was mainly for the Siren exhibition, and I mainly use it to write all things for my historical series and all the things which are coming. So I'm not going to show you everything, but it's mainly writing. But I needed to organize my work a little better. Another one only to draw for the same historical projects. This one is for all the rest of my things. It's for my artwork. So you have seen my sketches for Alice, all the things which are coming. I'm going to have some frames. You're going to see that soon. So this one is really for my normal artwork, I would say, and I like to write excerpts of text, specific moments of the story I want to work with. So you can watch my sketching practice video if you didn't see it. I posted last year. If you want to know more about my sketching practice, you can watch that. And I also like that the one with these things. I think there's a sort of magical thing when you open them, you enter in your world. Of course, I love these details. I think if you plan to keep them, that's quite nice to invest in good quality ones, which are pretty to look at, pretty to hold, and they will last for a very long time. And they have, I don't know how many pages they have, but they have a lot. I usually keep them for 2 years. And I like also when you put them all together, it's rather pretty here. They're a bit pricey, I would say, but they are really pretty. And I regret in the past sometimes to have bought really bad quality ones and ugly ones that of course I keep them, but they're just more pretty when you have nice ones. You like to keep them, and all together they look very pretty too. And I also wanted to share this book, which have been sent to me a few months ago. And I didn't start any recipe yet, but it's a sweet lady who watched my videos who sent it to me. And I had this one for a long time. This one was published in the 90s. It's in French. It has never been translated. Unfortunately, I think it's really sad. And it was mainly recipes inspired by French fairy tales like Perrault and Madame de Noix and a few others, but it was mainly that. So really mainly French cook. And there were not only desserts, there were also salty things and all that. And of course, it's one of my favorite books. It's a beautiful, inspiring book. But this one has been done very recently, and it's a German book originally, and it's very German recipe inspired by German fairy tales. So it's completely different, and they don't explore the same stories. So it's really nice, but it's very much German recipes. I would say that a lot of recipes are recognized, of course, but inspired by these stories. So just a good book if you are interested in cooking with a fairy tale theme. They are pretty. I'm not a very good cook at all, as you know. So some recipe looked a little challenging for me, but I will try to do one or two from the easiest one. I think you can have both if you like more French recipes on this one. More German recipes inspired by German fairy tales, Grimm fairy tales mainly. And of course, I had just to mention the books which have been the most important for me this past 6 months, which are the Memoirs by la Duchesse d'Abrantès. So I'm not going to bore you with everything. I'm using her a lot for my series, but I'm just adoring her. I'm going to have a series all about her, but I just wanted to share one or two things. She has been extremely productive for 10 years of her life, and I'm little by little collecting everything about her. I could say that I like her almost as much as Madame de Noix, not to say even more, because she's so funny. And the more you're going to know about her, the more you're going to like her, I can tell you that. So if you want to see if it's for you, I would recommend to start by the first tome from Le Consulat, which is 1800, which is very much, well, there is a bit of Jane Austen atmosphere because she's going to get married, and there is all the organization of her wedding and the balls and all that, and it's always funny. I'm going to tell you. So I have 8 books from her now. I laughed like a crazy person reading them, in all of them, several times for each book, but not smile, oh that's sweet and all that. No, really laughed like a couldn't stop laughing really. I was in the train many times reading it, and it was so hilarious the way she describes things. Her taste on her view on everything is so really funny. I never laughed so much reading a book. Simply, I couldn't compare that with anything I've read in the past, which I found so funny. Now, it's very likely not everybody's sense of humor, very probably. For me, it's totally my thing. It's totally the thing I would have done if I was at her place, in her shoes. I feel so grateful that she wrote her memoirs at the end of her life, because her life was really hard at the end. She needed to make money and she needed to publish, really, to survive. And she did that, and she is revisiting her memories at the end of her life. She didn't live very long. I think she died in her 50s. So I'm just going to read you a tiny slice of it to give you an idea. So Junot, under Junot, so I mentioned him in my historical series. He had a lot of mistresses, and he had mistresses his entire life, and he was even writing about his mistresses to his wife. So it was pretty special. They have a really unique relation. It's just really funny and pretty unusual, especially for the time. I'm going just to translate it as I go, but he was talking about a lady that he found very pretty and very beautiful. So he says, it's a virtuous lady, but positively virtuous. I don't know what people said about her, but what I can say in my case is I had been rejected, but rejected with this accent that tells you don't ever come back. So he's writing this to his wife, and I thought it was pretty funny. He had a really, really great sense of humor. She says everything from what is it to give birth to a child in 1800 in Paris? What is it to all the fashion things? She loves describing clothes and fashion jewelry, hair, hats, everything. She likes to criticize other ladies, which is really funny. Yeah, the balls, everything, all the life in Paris at the time, she describes it. In Portugal too, when she was in Portugal, in Spain. I adore her for all that, for seeing all the details of life and describing things as if you were with her. And that's something I've not seen a lot in memoirs especially. She described things so that you are with her, you have the atmosphere, the wind, the light, the smell, the fragrances, how the people behave, the little things that other memoirs, other writers of the time wouldn't have dared to write maybe. She describes everything, and very funny things. I couldn't recommend her enough if you like good memoirs and good precise time traveling and knowing exactly how it was to live in Paris at the time, in this sumptuous life she had. She had a pretty unbelievable life. Thank you very much for watching this May favorites. I will come back to you soon with some updates on my Alice in Wonderland series and all the things I'm doing and working on in the studio these days. And I will have very probably a June favorites too, because shops are reopening now and there will be more possibilities to show you what I found for my kingdom, my little home updates, all that. Don't forget to subscribe if you don't want to miss all the next videos, and I will see you very soon.